Hi everyone, and welcome back to Clean Eating Kitchen. I'm Carrie, and this is my channel where I share real food recipes to help you feel your best. I have a master's degree in public health with a specialty in nutrition, but I do have to say that I've learned the most from my personal health journey, recovering from PCOS, autoimmune disease, and thyroid cancer. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a video. So today I'm sharing a week's worth of food and meals with a focus on gut healing foods. I'm sure like me, you've been hearing for a long time how gut health is so important for our overall health. And it's said that our immune system is mostly based in our gut and that our microbiome greatly influences our overall health. I've been working on my gut health, I would say, for the past few years, but it's never really been my #1 priority. I would say in the more recent years, I've mostly been focused on using my gluten-free, dairy-free, grain-free diet to manage my autoimmune markers. And I've also been working on managing my hormonal-based migraines, especially as I get more into perimenopause. A few weeks ago, I came across a really interesting video by Dr. Eric Berg, and it was all about using colostrum to heal the gut lining. I will link to that video in the description box because I really did find it to have a lot of new information that I'd never heard before. And so that took me into a really deep dive into finding a dairy-free colostrum and other ways of helping to heal the gut lining. And I actually started to wonder if maybe if I focus more on healing my gut, that maybe I could start to heal from some of my food sensitivities. And of course, it would also be great just to feel more energetic and confident in my overall health. I would say that I feel pretty good about 80 to 90% of the time, but I would really like to feel more confident, especially as I start to do maybe a little bit more traveling. And then of course, as I mentioned, I'd love to be able to eat more of a variety of things and maybe not have to be so strict with gluten and dairy and grains. So before I ramble on too much longer, I just wanted to share with you that I've recorded a week's worth of most of my breakfast and dinner options. I didn't record every single meal because since I cook just for my husband and myself, we actually eat quite a lot of leftovers, so I don't end up cooking every single day. But I have 2 breakfast ideas, 3 dinner ideas, and then a few snack and dessert options. I've never really done this type of video before. I did a what I eat in a day a few weeks ago, but I've never done a what I eat in a week. But it was fun to document all of my gluten-free and dairy-free meals, and I hope that it gives you some inspiration too. So let's start off with some breakfast ideas. Now, normally I do make a green smoothie almost every day, but we've had some really cold weather here in California, which called for a hot cereal. And I use this buckwheat cereal and pretty much just followed the directions on the box. Instead of using milk, because I am still following a dairy-free diet, I use this coconut beverage. It's a little bit lighter than a canned coconut milk, but it's one of my favorite dairy-free milks. And then I just cooked the cereal in the microwave and then also used some frozen berries, and that added some natural sweetness. I did end up adding some maple syrup to this hot cereal, but it was really comforting and especially was great with this variety of berries. And of course, berries are a great source of fiber and natural sweetness and antioxidants and all of that good stuff. And I did add a few extra things to the cereal just to kind of help make it more flavorful and nutritious. I added some cacao powder, some collagen powder for protein, and I especially like to have a good source of protein in the morning. Then I use that vitamin C powder, and if you watch my video from a few weeks ago, what I put in my smoothies, I have all of these products mentioned and linked in that video. Now on a separate day, I decided just to make some granola, and I almost make it the exact same way as the hot cereal. I use berries that I heat up in the microwave, and I love this grain-free granola that comes from Purely Elizabeth. I think it tastes great, and again, I'm just showing that I served it with that same coconut beverage. I added some cacao powder, and this cereal doesn't need sweetness, added sweetness because it's sweetened a little bit with coconut sugar. And I do follow my breakfast with a nice big mug of decaf coffee. I definitely cannot tolerate regular caffeinated coffee, but I do handle decaf pretty well. And I did try an herbal coffee once, but I didn't really notice any improvement in my symptoms. Now, speaking of gut health and other health, I just wanted to show you, this is basically like one of 3 supplements patches that I take over the course of the day as recommended by my functional medicine doctor. And I know that I owe you guys a video about supplements, but I'm just kind of deciding how to film that without being completely overwhelming, because I do take so many. So let's go ahead and move on to the first dinner idea, and this was a crock-pot chicken and veggie stew using marinated curry chicken. You saw me marinating the chicken just a few seconds ago, which is just some coconut yogurt and curry powder. And I found that marinating the chicken in that yogurt mixture made it so moist. I will do that in the future. It was great. And I just had a ton of different veggies that I put in the bottom of the crock pot. I have cauliflower, and I think I used parsnips. I don't think those were potatoes. And then I just added some veggie broth, and then I put the chicken right on top and tried to get as much of that marinade in the crock pot as possible. I did use some, I believe I used some stewed tomatoes, canned tomatoes at the bottom of the crock pot, and I just let it cook all day. And of course, getting a variety of vegetables is really important for supporting your gut health. And I'm just not a huge veggie fan, but I find when I make them in a stew like this, it's just an easier way to digest them. It's just an easy way for me to eat my veggies. I don't know. I'm kind of a picky eater, but when they're all cooked and soft, and especially when paired with lean protein, I find it so much easier to eat my veggies. And I did serve this stew with some white rice. And white rice is generally pretty well tolerated for most people, even if you have grain sensitivities. And it seems to work pretty well for me. So I always, at this point, cook my rice in the Instant Pot. It's so easy. And if you've had trouble in the past, here's some tips. I do spray the Instant Pot with a nonstick spray. Then you have to rinse your rice really well, and then just add, like, it's 1-to-1 ratio, rice to water, but add just a little bit extra water. And so while that cooked, I went ahead and got the stew all broken up. You can see I just stirred it, and it literally, the chicken just fell apart and the veggies broke apart. And then I went ahead and divided it up. And one of my tips, if you have chronic illness like I do, you know, it can be hard. You get to the end of the day and you're really tired. You don't want to start prepping and cooking and cleaning. So I will make my meals earlier in the day, and then I'll just pack them up, and then it's easy just to reheat them, you know, at night when I'm ready to eat dinner. I don't always do that for lunch. For lunch, I usually have leftovers. But right here, this was later in the day, so the rice had cooled, and then the stew had cooled, and so all I had to do was portion it out, and then I reheated it in the microwave. And so just try to prepare foods when you can, when you have the most energy, and that makes it so much easier. And I served this veggie chicken stew with some more of that coconut yogurt. Now for the second dinner, I wanted to share this baby back ribs recipe. And I saw another creator on YouTube make it over the grill, and it just looks so good. But I really don't like grilling, so I just wanted to do it in the crock pot. And I know you can also do ribs in the oven and use the broiler, but I don't know, I always tend to burn things when I use the broiler. So I used the crock pot. I filled it with more veggies. And again, I tried to find a variety. So try not to eat the same veggies every meal. But I used cabbage, carrots, fresh dill, and I think that was it. And then I used this gluten-free barbecue sauce, put the ribs on top. I did have to cut them to make them fit in my crock pot, and then put some more barbecue sauce on top. I thought this dish was so delicious. I would definitely make this again. I have to say I was a little disappointed my husband did not like it as much as I did, but that's okay because I'll still make it just for myself because I thought it was really good. I think maybe if I had put the meat in the broiler, maybe he would have liked it more, but honestly, the meat just fell off the bone. So it almost ended up being like a stew because the meat was so tender. You can see here I packed it up again, and then I put the veggies in a separate container, and then when I served it, I just heated the meat in the veggies and kind of served them together on one plate. And we ended up having those veggies, I think, even for another meal later on that I didn't show. But I served it with a baked potato. You can see I have some peppers there and a little bit of cranberry sauce. Now, before I share my third meal this week, I just wanted to share some snacks, or one of my favorite snacks, and that is gelatin gummies. In this batch, I use Concord grape juice and tart cherry juice along with grass-fed gelatin, and gelatin is a gut healing food, so these are considered like, I don't know, a gut healing food, I guess, or a gut healing snack. They turned out really great. I would definitely make these again, and I can show you how in a future video if you're interested. And also I made so many that I ended up freezing some of them, and they freeze pretty well. You just have to defrost them in the refrigerator in the future. But one little batch lasted about a week. Another snack I just want to mention is kombucha. I usually try to keep that on hand, and that of course has beneficial probiotics which can help with gut healing. And then for the last dinner I made this week, I started off by marinating some wild-caught salmon, and I just marinated it in a simple blend of coconut aminos, coconut vinegar, and maple syrup. Just put that in the refrigerator for a few hours, and my husband does not like fish at all, so this was a meal that I made just for myself, and I really enjoyed it. I did end up overcooking the salmon a little bit. I cooked it in a pan, just sauteed it with some ghee. I cooked it for 4 minutes per side. I think next time I would reduce that to just 3 minutes per side. You'll see in a second that it got a little bit burned, but of course salmon is full of omega-3 fatty acids. It's really good for you. I try to eat fish a few times a week, even though my husband doesn't like it at all. Like pretty much no fish except for canned tuna he will eat, but it makes it a little bit more pressure on me because then I have to prepare him something separate, but because he doesn't cook. I am definitely the cook in the house, but it's okay if I prepare things ahead of time, then it's not overwhelming. And again, I just sauteed this in a saucepan or a skillet, and I would reduce the time next time I make this fish. And I served it with a baked potato again, and I love cooking baked potatoes in the Instant Pot. It's just so easy and hands-off. Takes about, I do it like about 30 minutes cooking time. And then I served the baked potato with a little ghee and some pickled veggies, pickled fermented veggies, actually. I found those at Whole Foods and they're really good. And fermented foods are, of course, great for gut health. And I really enjoyed this dinner. I think I ended up having a piece of gluten-free toast later in the day or later in the evening because I did end up getting a little bit hungry. And then I just wanted to share a couple of desserts, or yeah, I guess these would mostly be considered desserts that I would have after dinner, and usually just like a fresh fruit or jarred fruits. And I lean on the jarred fruits more in the winter and early spring because it's harder to find fresh fruits. In the summer, of course, I'll have more fresh fruits. Applesauce, I just find comforting and easy to digest. These jarred peaches are nice. This brand from Trader Joe's doesn't have too much added sugar, which is nice. And then I did find some fresh strawberries at the market that looked pretty good. And they weren't the best I've ever had. They looked pretty, but they were a little, I'm not sure, they just didn't have a super awesome flavor, but it was good. And I served it with this yogurt, and this is my favorite brand of coconut yogurt these days. I really love the consistency, and to me it tastes the most like regular yogurt, regular dairy yogurt of any dairy-free yogurt I've had. I hope one day I'll be able to eat regular yogurt again. So I hope you enjoyed this video with what I ate in a week with a focus on gut healing foods. I am definitely still on a learning process in learning about all the different ways that you can work on your gut health, and especially in regards to healing from chronic illness. But I'm having a lot of fun learning. I'm finding it very fascinating, and I would love if you have any special resources, please link them in the comments. And then also just let me know, what is your number one health priority or health symptom that you are dealing with or focusing on right now? And if you're new to clean eating, you're looking for more support, I do have a free clean eating quick start guide, and I will link that in the description box below. So if you're looking for more gut healing and immune boosting foods, then please do check out my playlist, which has all my favorite immune boosting recipes. I'll see you in the next video.